Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the ESL Pro League here for North America. We're getting ready to jump into our first match of the evening now. I'm here with Launders. He's going to be bringing me the action. How you doing tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good?
Yeah, I'm excited to see this matchup because we've got two teams that are both pretty good at train, and also they have very similar styles in some sense where they like to slow play a lot of their T rounds. So I'm kind of curious what it's like if the immovable object fights the immovable object, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to one team that is stylistically very different from the other.
Well, it's been a busy week for both of these teams, especially over the course of the weekends, with Misfits playing the Cyberpower PC Cup and then playing in the qualifiers yesterday. Same for the Renegades, and they managed to make it all the way to the grand finals of the IM Oakland qualifiers yesterday too. So we'll have to hope they can keep up pace here now for their online matches in the ESL Pro League. Misfits will be starting off on the T side, and we can already see who's getting into the action here as Misfits goes for just a quick 5-man walk to the back box salls. Renegades currently do not have a lot outside there to defend it. In fact, most of their players are outside on the A site, really only leaving JKS to watch over here towards B, which could prove trouble now, and Misfits go for this big execute, especially considering they have two players coming into utility, not just the usual one that you see. We're going to roll in here, going in for the execute. We have the two smokes crossing off the backside crosses here between the trains, so that should give them the clearance they need to go for a pretty clean plant. Now, Renegades did end up moving another player over here, so they're not completely boxed out yet, but they are going to have to go for that full 5-on-5 retake here now. Shazam is going to move up first. Remember, again, he's very, very dangerous on these pistol rounds, so you have to watch out for him. He's going to be the key target to try and eliminate here in order for Renegades to try and find some success in this pistol. But they'll move forward. Sick will get the first kill. Nifty does kill one on the flank. Now looking for pickups too, but he gets completely overwhelmed. JKS kills one from the left side here, but unfortunately, he's left alone here now too. And Azza tries to run around the back side. He is going to be able to take down one. Devo Duvet gets eliminated, but with 3 HP, he can't survive for much longer, and Misfits take the first round.
And you can kind of hear at the end of the round that the clock is ticked down to the point where they wouldn't even have time to defuse, even if he had gotten those last 2 kills. And you wonder if Renegades have respected the smokes too much on the rotates in, or at least not decided to rotate in fast enough through back lanes when they wanted to. Because they only had one come through Z, even though the late molly went there. And if they had decided that, oh, if it was going to be a B hit, we get this retake going, they would have timed it, I think, a little bit better than they did in that round. That being said, Misfits had a really good strat that kind of, I think, without question, made Renegades want to respect it. And that was ultimately their downfall.
So now in this second round, they end up on pretty much a full save, actually. We don't see the usual more aggressive buy coming out from the Renegades here. They just decided to upgrade pistols this time. So their players are going to be a little bit more light bot. There's a shift in their positions here as they move most of their players towards the inside early on, after they were originally trying to hold out towards Ivy. This will prove to be a potential mistake, as it looks like Misfits are getting ready to execute through T-Con and Ivy here in the next second. Roll into the site. And the only one that will really be there to defend it is going to be Naf. And while Naf, well, he showed us some impressive stuff in yesterday's IM Oakland qualifiers, this is probably going to be asking for a little bit too much, so we should expect Misfits to walk onto the site, get some pretty quick control. And let's just see. Trying to hold from heaven, and he'll be taken out pretty quickly by Amanek, and that pretty much seals the deal here. A few players from Renegades may be able to get into a position to maybe find a couple kills on exits, but in terms of retaking, probably not going to be seeing that happen here. Misfits should go up 2-0.
I wonder how conditioned Renegades feel to not moving for fakes, and how comfortable they were like sitting at B there, just assuming that maybe Misfits rocket back. And conversely, will we see Misfits actually rocket back on future rifle rounds? It's a big question mark for me. Because on the one hand, it's really good to not rotate too much, right? You don't want to, like, the worst thing in the world is you leave a site that they were going to. But the flip side is that if you don't, sometimes you'll have like a pistol round where you run out of time, you don't have enough time to defuse. You didn't have enough time to actually go for the retake when you wanted to initially, and that kind of leaves it up to Misfits as to whether or not they can convince Renegades to stick in their sights or rotate quickly. Let's see, round 3, we have what is going to be, for the most part, a save. No one from Misfits had to really buy a new gun. We still have a couple of Galeels. We did talk about how I still think those Galil nerfs are in effect, so maybe Renegades have a chance in this round, but apart from that, Renegades aren't going to be buying much.
Yeah, it was still being brought up quite a bit yesterday too. I don't remember exactly who it was, but I think someone either on Renegades or Energy was able to get like a full spray down against like 4 different players. Granted, it was against like an eco round, but he still made it work, so maybe it got fixed.
Maybe, yeah. I think it was always the Wheel of Fortune, though.
Yeah. Yeah, but regardless, we're still seeing players buy into it, though, so it still seems to have some effectiveness here, at least in the early rounds, where it's pretty easy days here for Misfits. This time the stack seems to be in the right place for the Renegades. We'll have to find out if they actually stick here this time. As obviously in the last round, they rotated out way too early. Now it's just really waiting for Misfits to make the call and execute inside. And there's the first smoke on the left side of Ivy here. It's going to give them clearance to move in. The molly on the right. Let Sean walk right up here very slowly. And the rest of the team is investigating their options to get up onto the site here too. Some more smokes are going to be deployed, just making sure that they can do this in the cleanest fashion possible. Be a little bit close contact there for Sean. He's going to have to watch out, especially on his backside here now that he's pushed in. As a check for it, so Naf and Nifty work together to get that first kill for the CT side. At the moment, it's the only kill, however. Amanek moves in to take down Nifty. He's going to go for a bit of a long-range spray here on the MAC-10, maybe a little bit too long-range. Regardless, however, you'll note that the presence from the outside was enough to shy away those ladder players, so they end up going back down towards the inner site, have a clean open plant there. Naf gets one more pickup here. He's going to get a nice trade out to an ump as well. But now, Renegades have pretty much reached the end of their road in terms of what they can really do on this round. Maybe able to get a couple extra kills here. There we go. There's one for Azza. Devo just ends up walking right into that. Now he's got a Galil too. So there may be hope for this yet. It actually looks like they are going to attempt to at least go in and see if they can get a kill or two here. Whether they'll commit to it, however, is still in the air. If they get this kill, you can bet they'll probably go for it. But with Sick doing that, that's pretty much going to kill it outright. Nicely done by Sick.
It felt like that was best possible case or scenario for Renegades, is they had a stack outside. They didn't move at all. Misfits threw a hard fake, meaning they sold it with 2 people, like 2 entire lives, and had 3 people go to the inner site. The inner site was open, but those 2 people outside ended up dying. And because Renegades didn't invest any armor, it's actually really fortunate they even got those 2 kills, but also good for them. And why it's interesting is because they didn't. I think they're happy to see all the smokes come out, but actually saw a fake and didn't move. So it's quite curious. Really good grenades so far in this round. Almost 150 damage dealt.
And at both sides of that one, you still gets hit from the Renegade side, and we see Amanek and Shazam both being brought down relatively low for Misfits here. And now they're going to split their players up. You'll note Renegade still has that heavy focus on the outer bomb side right now. They are keeping the usual player close towards Z here if he needs to rotate towards inner, which he's just done now. Besides that, it is just JKS on the inner site watching out here, and Misfits have been no strangers to changing up their hit, as we saw happen in the last round just now. So there is that possibility that it happens, especially with where they're keeping the bomb.
Nope. So I say no focus on T-Con, and it's unclear whether or not Misfits have decided. It seems like they've definitely picked that they're going to be hitting outside, considering how it looks like they're splitting. So it's not going to be 2 fakes in a row. We can see the utility has landed.
Pausing to him a little bit, and Amanek just moves in just in case there was someone hiding in the corner behind that smoke there. Not the case. Azza, first up to defend behind E-Box. He's going to stay quiet initially so that his teammates can take the distraction, but doesn't really pay off. Naf is going to get that 1 kill, but then they lose 2 right after that. Really nifty. That's going to have to look to impact here, and more so distract so that Yuzilo can come around the wrap side here. He gets 1. Nifty finds another pickup. He's up to 2 now for this round. Sick left alone. They find that last player. Gets baited a little bit here by JKS. He's still going to be able to kill him, but now that gives time for the CTs to get into position to shut him down and secure the first round for the Renegades.
That's really interesting. They had to run through a smoke at about 40 seconds left, which I think because their smokes went over, they were going to commit to it because, you know, they've got 15 seconds to get that bomb down and play the after plant. Otherwise, you're going to have a hell of a hard time even getting that far. So it was really important that they did that, and for Renegades to capitalize on players jumping through the smoke. And they were able to do it the first kill, and also because that delayed them somewhat. We saw that op shot come out, Nifty having a lot of impact. In a round where it was generally, I think, proposed by Misfits to try to get him out of the ability to be able to take shots like that. So for him to have 3 kills is really cool. But I wonder if Misfits didn't do a good enough job of baiting out utility fast enough, or if it was actually Renegades who did a good job of holding on to it for what maybe they anticipated was an outer take. In the defaults, we've got presence at pretty much all 3 choke points, and this is one where the bomb has been dropped. They're going to play this round out a little bit longer. Again, they have a full buy, so here, if we contrast it to last round, I definitely would pay attention to whether or not they spend a little bit of utility to try to bait some out in return, or what their approach is going to be before they hit up and execute. It seems like they've given up Ivy, and RNG, excuse me, get the first kill.
Probably Naf pushing up towards T-Con in order to achieve that. Takes him down and now limits potentiality for Misfits here. as their players are actually going to just go right upstairs into the White Halls here, grouping up for another inner execute. Renegades already have 2 players here ready to defend it. The op is rotated from Z, and you have JKS posted up on Pop Dog now, sitting ready to take the push from Misfits. Misfits still have a decent amount of utility, so they should be able to line up their usual smokes. They have 1 Molotov as well. Don't know if that's going to be used on the entry, however. They might just stick with smokes right now, as they are getting ready to line them up since time is getting very low. Only 30 seconds remaining. They'll probably execute at 25 or 20, so that's only going to give them that much time in order to get this bomb onto the ground. And now out they go. Renegades as well responding with their own Molotov. Here comes in just in time the re-molly too. That's really going to mess them up. Most have to work their way out from upper. Nifty also strikes first here now. Sick trying to push forward. He's going to find JKS at least, gets that quick trade, and now smokes off the lane so they can safely plant, get some control going, and get their players, more importantly, into these post-plant positions. Unfortunately, this flashbang really messes up Sean's position, so Nifty gets a free shot onto him there, now bringing it down to 2. Azza on the flank, he'll be defeated. This should give a signal to the rest of the Renegades to move back in and start the rest of the retake. As Nifty takes down Deva Duvek, he still is not even going to expect to find Sick up this far in the halls there, so, or excuse me, Sick is not going to expect to find you still that far up in the halls, so they'll take him down, and then Naf closes it out with the defuse.
I really like the adjustment to go inner when you're down a man, because, and you can't, obviously you can't do it every time because that would be too obvious, but if you find a good opportunity, like here they've gone outside 2 rounds in a row, why not hit inner off that adjustment? I think that was like an on-to-fly call as well. It's because inner's such a simple site and you can take it with just getting that first kill. Sometimes they'll give you the plant straight up if it's a team that's playing with a man advantage or they don't like playing, or no one inner likes playing forward or close up, I should say. And that's why it made a lot of sense. But they started to get really indecisive, I think, once the bomb went down, like really shuffled around. And I think what they needed to do was have people look for kills before they decided to get really comfortable in after plant situation, because they're down 3 to 4. And even if you're even on numbers, the reason why CTs play retake is because it's super viable. So
Shazam moving forward does get an opportunity to take down JKS here. However, he'll miss that shot. But he does have the 1 op in hand. That's really the only big gun they bring to the table for this round. Boy, this is going to be such a well-placed nade. It bounces and does massive damage to 2 players. Almanek down to 30, and Sean almost dies to it at 3 HP now. As it also hits the 2 players, interestingly enough, that didn't have armor. The 3 with armor barely get hit by it. So nicely done, as that does easily 100+ damage on 1 single nade. They'll get ready to execute now, but more good nade usage coming out from the Renegades too. The flash into the ramp slows them down a little bit, gives time for JKS to prep, and a perfect lineup for him over the top of the box as well, as he gets 3 kills. Naf helping up with that, now chiming in with a kill of his own, and Azar chimes in for the final one.
I love that angle that JKS was playing. I call that Dennis. We're having this conversation about calling things after players. Dennis from Fnatic always plays this angle, and he does it really well. And here, it's kind of like that new, was it M249 spray? Where at first it's a little shaky, and then all of a sudden it's a laser beam, and you really start to see him even out there and have those bullets all perfectly come out over the top of the train, allowing nobody to cross.
So no success for Misfits yet after the first gun round here, and now we sit at a tie, 3 to 3. Misfits do get some kind of a buy going here. It's not the greatest, as you can see. Shazam has to go Glass Cannon up, Almanek's on a Mac-10, Sean's on a Galil. They do get AKs besides that, and decent utility too, but now they're going to change the pace up a little bit fast, outside execute, and immediately they challenge Justillo with 2 players to take him down. Great flash onto the bomb train, but Azza and Nap both recover in time in order to pick up kills. Devo Duvek, though, puts that right back down, but then Nifty strikes back for the CT side. He's going to move in and take down Shazam, evening this back up to a 2v2. The Renegades will fall back a little bit now, giving room for Misfits to plant. This also gives room for JKS to get into a position for retake, and it allows Nifty to reposition into a different spot on the map here so that he can go back in. Looks like he's going to take the old bomb tunnel route. Nicely done. The great distraction with the flashbang, and just Nifty in general. That'll let JKS come back out from ladder room and surprise, taking down Devo Duvek. Almanek has to sit up, the other French player here, trying to survive in heaven. They don't seem to suspect that he's up here just yet. Can he actually successfully peek against the diffuser here? He's going to break the window and tries to jump out so casually, but not going to happen. JKS denies it, and the Renegades will now take the lead here.
I like that, because that was like Miami Vice, and he's got like the Miami Vice Mac-10, the hotline Miami Mac-10. He's busted through the window with the Mac-10, jumps out straight out. I think he could have actually seen someone diffusing from within the window, but I think once he made that noise, felt like, all right, I've got to get out there.
Tries his best to make it heroic anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of heroic, really good on this map.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely destroyed SK. See, yeah, right there. We've got a lot of counter nades being used right out the gate, but almost doesn't favor Misfits. We didn't actually see too many mollies being pulled, which is a big win for Renegades, who are up around and have a big economic advantage. Oh man, are they going to run into JKS? I think he would love this.
He would, but it's like they're going to oblige him at this point. The smoke curtails them away from going down a ramp execute. They may still send one player through it here just to see if they can make it work. As you can see, Amanek lining up the smokes here now to go a little bit further back and try to block off vision. And hold on, they might actually get this push. Looked like they were going to go out upper again, but they rotate back over here. JKS went to a slightly different position, but now he's going to be able to crawl back to it, and Nap just spamming into it. He gets a double. JKS gets the all clear from upper, and there you go. That's the end of it. A complete shutdown. Besides JKS getting half of his HP knocked off, it's incredibly clean for the Renegades.
Sometimes walkouts are really strong, but I wonder what made them feel like it would work on versus Renegades on the B site, because JKS has been lights out, and he's extremely good at that angle, and it's such a good angle that you can't really get caught from a lurk uppers too easily, because the guy upper has to peek down off of the ledge, which puts him in an awkward spot. And so the guy who's below him, like JKS, can play that spot, watch lower ramp with conviction, and be very, very like feel very comfortable, I think, with it. Misfits didn't really, I don't think, prove that they could take advantage of him where he was at. So surprised to see them go with that option. But it was kind of a Hail Mary because they didn't have that much money to buy.
Yeah, they've kind of been working with a fledgling economy for the last like 2 or 3 rounds here now. They've been trying to force into it, but it has not been going so great, as most of their executes have just been an absolute failure. They've gotten to the post-plant scenario at least a couple of times here, but Renegades have still been shutting it down. This is a full 5-round streak for them. They've been flawless ever since we saw Misfits take the pistol in the following 2 rounds here. And once again, Misfits is going to try to go for a bit more of a straightforward execute this time. They don't have any utility, so they really don't have a choice in the matter here. They pretty much just have to go right out onto the site. Molotov will block the path into the opening here on outer towards E-Box. And you can already see Renegades in position to try and stop this here. There's going to need to be some great deagle shots in order to get entries onto this site. Oh, and actually, they push him out to the left side there, so Shazam, he's ready to take that shot with the deagle. Scary still out of hiding. Azar responds now with a double. He has been tagged down. Naf and Nifty come back in for 2 more. It is just Sick at the end of the day, but Sick's making the best of a bad situation, up to 3 kills all of a sudden. And you'll remember Shazam got the last one. If he checks behind him right now, he can clutch this out. It's going to come down to timing, however, and Azar ends up winning it out from the backside, takes out the last man alive for Misfits, and still keeps Renegades on top.
He was literally maybe half a second away from being prepared to get that last kill. Such a nice attempt. And the third one right here, boom. Headshot as well. He's got insane aim, right? Like, that's why he's on this team. And that was a really good attempt. But not only that, it costs a ton of money for Renegades, who still have some left over, but this half is far from over. So at this point, Misfits have a lot riding on this round. They've got the smokes going out. I don't think anyone's actually executing. Instead, I think they wanted to bait out a response. Look at this, though. Renegades haven't thrown one single Molotov. What's really funny about this is if Misfits executed, they would be completely, they'd be in the clear. They'd be able to go out and get a plant. If Renegades did decide to throw Molotovs, they'd be out positioned.
The issue here is going to be in trying to bait it out. They failed miserably, so now Misfits, what are they going to have to go back into the site with? They only have 3 more smokes to throw.
Yeah, it's like when you, in the movie where you punch the guy and they don't move.
Yeah.
They don't flinch. How do you like them apples? Oh my god, SK's at 15-0 versus who? Oh, versus Splice.
Well, you guys can go ahead and check that on the second stream. If you are watching this from YouTube, you can go ahead and just click the channel, and there should be the second stream on the channel page.
Wait, what?
Wow, where was that supposed to go?
Oh, look at that, the Molotovs. That's it. They can't even get out now.
Yep, they're completely stuck. Sean is going down sandwich with Devo Duvek. That's the only momentum they've been able to make happen here, though. Thankfully, they execute with plenty of time left, and now when they do get forced in the situation, they make the first entry happen. But Naf now ready to strike back. Still a few trades working their way out for Misfits, but they're all from Sean right now. No other kills being found by any member of the T side. Now with the bomb dropped up on the train, they need to force their way to it in order to get it back. With that extra kill, they are going to be able to round this back down into an even 2v2, but unfortunately in trying to plant the bomb, while they reveal themselves, Naf and Nifty get the last 2 kills, and Renegades still stay on top here.
That was unreal. I don't know how they were so prepared to not throw any of their Molotovs, but they used them perfectly. And I will say that Misfits made the most of it, finding a way through the middle of the site to take advantage of the fact that like their teammates were mollied out ladder and there's still some utility left on Renegades. But even with that, at the end of the round, Naf still had his molly. So there were so many outs there for them to take back control of the round that it was definitely a strategical outplay by Renegades.
And so now they get a nice little chance to rebuild themselves here. Like you were saying, Misfits are keeping it close at least, so Renegades aren't getting away with any sort of massive economy build-up or anything. They're still only sitting at about like 5K per player, which is good, but it's not, you know, amazing for 7 rounds straight. Nifty, though, lines up the shot, gets the nice little timing off there on the Devo Duvek. Down he'll go. Now it's just a matter of looking for the second player, as he knows he's going to be here. Oh, that was almost on the mark, too. Not right now, however. Sean will be able to stay alive from back in Ivy, but he's also going to be the lone player trying to push in. And going up against the likes of primarily Nifty is his biggest worry, who's been on point for not just today, but in the last couple days of online play, too. We've been seeing him really shape up. Him, Naf, and JKS have really been the stars of the Renegades here. So it's going to be tough to breach that. There we go, there's the smoke. He's going to toss out his regardless, though. He'll block off deep inside here. He's going to throw the molly beyond this, too. But the problem is, whether he realizes this or not, Nifty's sitting just on the edge of the smoke. Took a bit of a risk here, and it pays off, as now they lose all of their IV pressure, and it all comes down to basically just a straightforward T-Con execute. They go out, they look for contact. Sick finds 2 entries. Nifty's going to look to trade, but he's unsuccessful. Sick up to 3 kills now. Looking for more. He knows Naf is somewhere near the bomb train. He goes looking for that op, too, that Nifty just managed to drop under his feet. Fortunately, he's now alone. 15 seconds left to go back and grab that bomb and then plant it on the train. He does not have time to rotate that smoke, actually. It's a good read from the Renegades as they walk out, but Sick has to slip behind the E-Box here. Gets the kill, but now he's got to look for a second one as he runs away, sees his opponent. He'll die, panicking there. And with that, Renegades will win the round again. I think he wanted to try and throw that op away towards the end, so that might be why he looked up towards the end there.
Is that where he did that? Yeah.
I think that's what I would assume.
I thought his mouse malfunctioned really slowly. But this is such a nice play from Nifty. He's just as DeBears was talking about in playmaker mode, and you know, you go through your dry runs in practice, and you're like, all right, these are all the things that can happen, and then you take an opera like Shazam or Nifty or Simple, and you can't calculate how they're gonna play it versus your execute, because they're gonna find a new way to play your smoke. They're gonna play the player as opposed to just whatever the standard best possible reaction will be. And that's what's really great about them, really valuable, is that they know when to take risks and they know exactly what they can get away with. And sometimes it does cost, but ultimately if you have an opera that's too passive, all they end up doing is dying, because the utility, if it's used properly, will completely neutralize them. They get scared and can't have impact. So that was a sick play to watch from Nifty.
Well, SK managed to do it, ladies and gentlemen. They pulled off the, I think that's the first 16-0 of the season.
Ouch.
They managed to take it against Splice, so that's their first map already done. Back over on the B stream there, and they'll take control, and that will continue to push SK further up in the ratings so far this season. They started off, I think, with a little bit of a bump. They went like 4-4 at the start or something like that. I'm not exactly sure where they are at this point, but that will obviously help to bring them further up and try to remain within the top 6. Well, back into the action for this game, however. The unpause coming in. Misfits somewhat up to full strength. Unfortunately, they have to downgrade quite a few of their guns. They do get full utility, but there's 3 Galils and a Mac 10 on the buy.
Kind of a rough way to start. Amina taking a lot of damage to the head right now by Naf. Oh my gosh, he won't stop getting bullied.
Now he's at a half HP. It looks like I thought he was going to go for it for a second. He holds back, just throws the Molotov on the other side instead. Misfits are just sitting in the voxels right now, getting ready for an execute. Another inner push for them. These have, the last time they attempted this, it was a terrible failure. They tried to just walk out very slowly, and JKS and Naf were able to demolish it very quickly. They're both now here on the site. Naf now playing for upper control, however. At the same time, JKS does have to look away, so it is going to be a bit awkward on the defense setup. We do see Shazam getting the first kill. JKS still alive, though. Down below, and Shazam, he's going to try to win it out, but he's alone. And once again, another inner hit, just a complete failure for Misfits.
Can't go inner, man. JKS is an absolute monster. He's playing basically the same spot, and because it's just such a good angle to work with, as long as you have a teammate watching upper for you, he can always do it. Naf did the perfect thing to cover him, and that was just to molly at the right side lower ramp. So if anybody did run by the train when his angle is too passive to make sure that they didn't, they wouldn't be able to cross behind bomb train and shoot him. And that just made him pretty much invincible as long as he was able to hit his shots. So it's like, it's really difficult because it's just one man, but it's also JKS, and they want to be able to go inner. So, you know, they think, all right, if we killed him, if we get that first entry and we know where he is, then we win. But that's clearly a monumental task.
It's easily the 3rd or 4th round of this half where he's managed to just completely tear down the entire offensive setup there.
And yeah, and Naf on one of those rounds was able to get 3 kills on the lower ramp. So he's just been such a great, he's been supporting him so well.
So let's see here now what Misfits are going to be able to try and line up as their own. Pretty much just another deco round here. 4 deagles and a single CZ on Sick with armor behind it. It's probably going to be another inner hit again, but with deagles this time, the odds aren't looking great. Previously, they were using at least one player to try to go Ivy or T-Con to at least distract, but they've stopped doing that too. They're just going straight into these sites now. So as soon as Renegades are able to get a read on this, I would imagine they shut this down quickly, but let's see. We haven't really seen some of the big hitters from Misfits come alive so far in this map. There's like Shazam and whatnot. Been a couple of good shots, but ultimately haven't accomplished too much. And this time it's a much slower paced push out. There's not an immediate trade situation, and Devo Tuvek, I didn't even see him peek, but he gets it done. And there's the shot from Shazam, as now he's gonna be able to take down Azure. Much better this time for the Misfits. Molly's gonna make things a little bit chaotic there on the backside of the trade. In fact, it does completely burn out Devo Tuvek. Nifty and Ustillo are taking this back with just the 2 of them now. Sick left alive, but he also went in to pick up an M4 in the process of this one. Hides behind the smoke, gets that first kill, and catches Nifty on the way down from upper in order to win out the round and finally give Misfits another round after their first 3 that they won at the beginning of this half.
Uh-oh, Wifty. Went for the shot. It was dead on. I mean, he definitely must have been close because he was looking at him. His teammate just called, or he just heard. He didn't even need a call, like, to know exactly where he was. And then falling off of upper, not giving himself a second chance to shoot. That's a bit of a flub. And it's so funny that of all the rounds, that's how they killed JKS, with just like Amanek pre-firing headshot at him with a deagle on the middle of bomb site. Insane entries.
And that finally breaks the 9-round streak from the Renegades here. But it breaks them towards the very end of the half, so they're not going to be too worried about that now, considering they're already up to 9 rounds here. If they can immediately trade this back, that'll be even better, as they can keep themselves at full strength going into the 15th round and get into double digits here now in the first half, which is always a good achievement. But Misfits, since the inner strat has been played out for them now, they are going to see if they can execute outer successfully. And, well, that's one way to get it started. Sean, right through the smoke, knocks out Nifty in the first couple seconds here. With him dead on the ground here, they still have 3 players ready. I'm not sure if they're going to go in this heavily or they're just using it for utility at this point. But it does definitely look like they're ready to go in and execute. They have no T-Con pressure at this point, we should mind you as well, which T-Con's been a very divisive point here for Misfits. They've either been completely destroyed or, you know, they kind of had hit or miss results coming out of T-Con so far in this half.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ivy players do manage to get out, but sometimes T-Con, it's either getting mollied out or you have like Naf, who's actually made his way outside, just get in their faces and take them out. So Nifty going down is a big win. This could really make the difference in the half here. Just that 1 kill. And they're actually using it to wrap inner, so still coming up with something new.
Going past it here, Ustillo is going to be able to spot it. Unfortunately, won't deal much damage back. The worst of it is Amanek going down to 68 HP. As they move in, though, JKS running to defend it. He gets 1, 2. The door gets in the way for the 3rd. As Sick will be able to trade him back out. But look at how low the time is now, too. They have to have this bomb cross all the way onto the site. If Ustillo comes out and drops the bomb, and
Nifty,
they're not even going to be able to plant it here now. So time will run out. Renegades will win it on the timer. They trade out that loss, and what's even worse is they lose at least 1 player post-timer. It shouldn't affect them too badly, though. Looks like they're still right. And Shazam with 44.
Yeah.
He can rebuy.
Yeah, did Sick die after timer? Yeah, he might have.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but JKS obviously, once it was called that it was an inner wrap, found a really good position to be able to catch people off guard. Got the 2K with a nice spray, almost got 3 kills. And because they put the bomb carrier with that pack, as you should, they, I think Sick was a little bit worried about losing it, so maybe took a little bit too much time to try to get into the site and was within 1 or 2 seconds of actually being able to plant. And you know, if they get the bomb down, they could have straight up won, but what can you do? That all starts with JKS holding inner from the opposite side of the site.
Misfits going out very quickly here, looking for the execution just through T-Con itself. He still tries to get in the way, but unfortunately just walks right into Sick, who's also going to be able to pick up a 2nd kill here. Now did trade one of the Devo Tuvek, and Azur's found in the open here too. Sick just making it work. Nifty trying to trade it back, but he's only got an ump, so he'll go down quickly to Sean. Now JKS lines him out in the open, and he just dropped the bomb too. Big pickup for him. He already knows where Omenek's playing from. Omenek should be able to trade that Mac 10 out for something better. There should be a whole litter of bodies on the field. But Omenek's going to very, very carefully go down the speedway here. See if he can wrap around the JKS. JKS will spot it, and then a ranged battle. From a theoretical point of view anyway, JKS should be able to win it. But we'll see. As Amanek's going to get a little bit creative with the MAC-10 jumping out into the open, but yep, JKS will take it. And that's going to be Renegades going up to 11 to close out the half. So stick with us, ladies and gentlemen, as we'll be right back with the second half to see if the Renegades can keep it going, or if there will be some life left after all for the Misfits.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, the City of Odense, GeForce GTX, Lenovo Legion, Bedway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, Xfinity, and ESEA.
And with a great start to the Renegades, we now come back to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the ESL Pro League. It's currently 11-4 here on Train. And for their opponents here, the Misfits, unfortunately not the greatest start, winning only one real round after the first three they pick up after the pistol. And it wasn't really a gun run, it was just a decoy round where they managed to hit some banger entries and clear the B site.
Yeah, it's rough for, I mean, if you look at the RWS, Seiken's just gotten robbed, you know. He's got, I think, 23 kills in that first half, and they have 4 rounds. That last round, 3K entry, and they still lost. And it was because JKS was this, like, it was his, I don't know, kryptonite, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
On the inner side, the holds are so much more important. There was, like, he accounted for like 3 or 4 rifle rounds with just getting 2 or 3 kills when it really mattered. Just straight up holding a site down with a great spray. So now Misfits look forward to a CT side, but Renegade's C side is actually really good. So I'm quite curious if Misfits will be able to turn this around, but it seems like Renegades are just a better team today so far.
Yeah, a lot of the gun runs are actually a lot closer. Like this match is, in my opinion, a little bit closer than it seems right now, based on the scoreline. The real problem is you have like these star players on Renegades that just continuously shut it down. And in all of the 1vx situations, I'm pretty sure every single time Renegades came out on top. That and Misfits kept trying to go for these inner executes, and every single time JKS and NAF to a certain degree would just completely shut it down, leaving, you know, no hope at all. I think the one round they managed to win was like the one successful inner execute they had after round 3 in that entire half. And they're going to go here now. Renegades just going for pretty much the same thing that Misfits did, but Misfits do already have more players into the site ready to defend it here. Yustillo goes hunting. He's a little bit confused, though, because of the flash, so he's not able to find that player on top of Yellow Train. They do clear out the site and smoke the side lanes here, so it's going to give them the real estate they need in order to buy the plant. That'll go down to the ground, start the timer ticking, and you'll note that Misfits actually don't have a kit. So they are going to be a little bit limited for time. All players just went for armor purchases. Naf and Azur both pick up kills to start this one off. Azur tries to get a second one, but he'll be traded by Sean. However, Misfits are not making the progress they need to make right now, considering the timer that's working against them. That's better as Devo Duvek moves forward. He's going to find Nifty and Yustillo. 2 left alive for this T-site. Now 1-0 as Devo Duvek and Amanek pick up those last kills, and that will leave them with enough time to defuse.
Wow, that does come down to the very last moments. Super close, oh my gosh. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, they need to hit those headshots exactly when they did. So that's kind of funny because we see basically the exact same setup from Renegades that Misfits had, where they smoked Z. They had 2 smokes down just to be able to push up in B, get the bomb down, and then play like an aggressive afterplant. Except Renegades played a little bit more aggressive, and Misfits were set up a little bit faster. Now, it did seem like Renegades should have won that round anyway, but Misfits were able to hit all of their shots. And I think in the future, I'm kind of curious why Sean didn't have anyone buy utility, like no Molotovs whatsoever, when there has been the update where that allows for, I think, not more frivolous, but just more leniency when it comes to not having armor because you don't have as much aim punch. So they win the round in spite of that, in spite of not having kit, in spite of not having any Molotovs, but it was definitely very close.
And so now in the second round, it's a very light round from Renegades overall here. In fact, the only purchase comes from Naf as he goes for the double flash buy and a P250. Everybody else is sticking with Glocks. As they go in, Sick, he's presented with an opportunity to multi-frag, and he succeeds. Gets the double kill, 2-for-1 trade. Fortunately, doesn't stop the entire hit. The plant is going to go down on the ground. There's not a lot of room for these last two members of the Renegades to maneuver, so they are going to get taken out pretty quickly. And there we go, 6th round for Misfits, but Renegades accomplished their goal here, which was to get the plant. Overall,
pretty clean round. You can see that if the rotate was a little bit faster and the rotator had a Molotov, they could have denied the plant as there was a delay on that. Sick ended up getting 2 kills and stayed alive for quite a bit. And I think, does that nade actually, I think that nade was actually really good, but it didn't actually kill anyone. And yeah, I don't know at what point here the bomb goes down, but the Molotov to flush people out of the bomb plant zone in a round where nobody has enough smokes to be able to like allow them to push up, I think would have benefited them a lot more.
Yeah, so we get ourselves into the gun round very quickly here due to the first 2 rounds being plants for the Renegades. So they get 5 AKs with full utility. Devo, however, is going to take a bit of a risk this time, even going into the Molotov that they tossed out in order to pressure himself forward and block off access to Ivy for the guys on Renegades for now. Now we see very quick smokes being executed to the totem pole drop from Renegades to get themselves into the ladder room. They won't find anyone in there. Misfits actually playing a very passive setup here in Omnic. Unfortunately, not finding much there with that spray. Shazam will do better, however. He'll be able to trade that back out, but it's not very long before he's dead on the ground, and the same can be said for Sean. Devo tries to take a risk in pushing through the smoke, but with how low he was, it's a very easy win in the 1v1 for JKS, and Asa just jumps up on that little slip there on the bomb train and knocks at the last man standing for the Misfits.
They made the outside take look a lot easier. Even through the smoke, had the smokes to help them get out, putting a lot of pressure, I think, first on Amanek. Like, if he had gotten that initial kill, it really slows things down quite a bit. Rotates come in a lot more quickly, but because he couldn't get that FAMAS spray lockdown, which he normally does do really well. He's actually very good with a FAMAS, so I guess I'm kind of surprised about that, but that maybe could be attributed to just how much money he had leading into that round that didn't allow him to get a better gun. Either way, Misfits now having to save also are going to be in danger of losing within 1 more rifle round, which would be pretty sad to see. I think one thing we haven't seen quite yet is that Shazam is a really great CT opera on train, and he hasn't had the opportunities to show that.
All Renegades will go for this outer execute very quickly. There will be a flank coming against them from Sick relatively quickly, as the timing works out very well for him. Oh no, but Jake Hass was watching out for it, so dies very fast too. And these last 2 players, well, they're also going to die pretty fast, and that will allow Renegades to push through this round. He's still almost going down, but it does end up being a team ace there. All 5 players contributing, nobody going down, so early economy buildup is great. They may not end up needing it, however, with this scoreline. So as you said here, they're just 3 rounds away from victory. And with Misfits buying in with, well, not the greatest buy, it could be the start of their death bells here.
Yeah, now you did mention that there were a lot of 1v1s that went the way of Renegades in the first half, and that does actually make sense as to why the scoreline seems so lopsided, but the rounds were so close. But if we look at the score in terms of how many kills everybody has, Sick had a great opportunity to like win rounds for his team, but his team couldn't close out for him, and that leaves him in a position where on CT side, everybody's got to pitch in because you can't pick where the Ts are going to attack. And ultimately, Renegades should just be trying to avoid Sick whenever possible because no one has shown that they're as on point as he was.
And as it would make sense, they're going to keep Sick solo playing outside B right now. So more than likely, Renegades will not be looking to necessarily execute towards inner unless they have the ultimate advantage here, like it's an anti-eco round or something like that. But this is interesting from the Misfits here. They're moving together like almost as a 4-man squad into the train yards, and now pushing into T-Con too with Omnic and Sean. So the execute, depending on the timing of it, could prove to be a little bit awkward here for the Renegades, as I highly doubt they're going to expect something like this to be set up.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Whenever you have a chance to take out a weaker piece on a chessboard, you go for that first, because that makes a stronger piece a lot weaker in itself. Here, counter nades in response, but it's a hold. They don't actually execute off of this, but it's really Misfits who have nothing left over. But they have some map control, which is kind of nice for them. Pushed into T-Con, a lot of it will come down to this.
Asa still looking for his way outside here too. No routes being found just yet. The flashbang that goes into the mid-trainer, it's good. Shazam, however, strikes with his first hit as he hides in between over there. Sick. He's going to be able to find one now as he rotates out from Z, as he was playing very close battle here against some of these players. But Naf, along with the player on the other side of the trainer, they are able to isolate him, and they went out the round here. Now just 2 away from victory.
It's just a massacre outside. There's not enough people dying blind. There's not enough people getting smoked out of positions, and that's to the benefit of the T's. If there was no utilities, the T's would win every single round. You know, there's no counter nades to be able to stop them from aggressing onto the site, and we can see why that is. It just becomes a nightmare when you have to defend a site that can be cracked open from 3 different sides.
Yeah, so just pistol buy again from Misfits here as they'll go for Deagles and a CZ. And these rounds, even on T side, were never really too successful for them. Shazam, however, continues to impact at least a little bit. The Deagles in general just continue to impact a little bit here. Unfortunately, it's only chip damage at this point, and it really doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, especially with the scoreline being considered. Renegades still very much in control of the outcome of the round right now. The only thing that may throw it the other way is if Sean multi-frags on this flank. But usually Renegades have been pretty good at watching out for these, and yeah, they do know that he's here now, so the element of surprise is ruined, unfortunately, and there really isn't any hope for Misfits. So they're actually going to fall back and save instead of posting up for exits or something like that. Yeah,
I guess from his position, he's like, yeah, maybe I could go for a kill, but also I probably won't get one, and why give this up if I'm not going to? Maybe you can find an exit later on.
Might actually just end up forcing in here to see if they can surprise anyone. Yeah, they're going to walk right out through ladder. And no, it doesn't work. So 1 dead, Sick, still alive, but not for very long. Nifty and Naf close out on those last 2 kills. And now 15-6 as we go into map point here for our first map between these 2 teams. Renegades on the cusp of a win. Misfits will be able to get the full buy going, but now they need to win 9 rounds straight in order to just take this to OT.
Saddest part for Shazam is he doesn't even get armor on this round. Everybody's going to be kind of low on nades to support him. So, you know, he is still an opper, and he still might be able to have the opportunity to hit shots, but Renegades know how little money that Misfits have, and it's just going to be their prerogative to make sure they run as completely dry in utility as possible. We saw that work so well in the previous round, even though they had more nades than this. So we can see that Renegades are apt at being able to do this, and now I think we'll see the true power of it.
Renegades splitting up into basically just default here to start off the round. They are sitting back and waiting. Since this is the last round, I think they're expecting Misfits to do something a little bit more aggressive this time. Really not going to find that, though. In fact, you're only just now starting. I don't think we saw this on any of the previous gun rounds. You only just now have a player pushing into ladder room, which has become more of a staple for other teams, too, as they've almost constantly been putting that one single lone player to fight out in ladder room here. But we're only just starting to see Amanek push up to take that position. And he'll almost immediately use his smoke to block off the other side, whether that is because they saw Azur come out through T-Con or another reason. It's yet to be seen. But now we have the Renegades creeping through the first line of Smoke and Ivy. They are going to start to look towards this execute, and the other players in Whitehall's that were going to go drop down into ladder now actually end up grouping up with the T-Con players since JKS got up for free, and they do need someone to carry that bomb into the site. Devo Duvek should be able to hear the entries coming back in. It's a 3-for-1 trade, however, as Devo Duvek lines up the 2 from Ivy, and now as the rest start to move back out, this is when this ladder player can really shine as he can execute the rest of that T-Con play. And finally, a clean round from Misfits as they claim a 7th.
I think that play works sometimes, but I would have liked to see once they got all that map control, like they have top Ivy control here, just smoke the left side off if you're going to hit outside. You can see Devo Duvek, it's a free like wide peek on players who had tons of utility left over. They did a great job getting all map control for free, and then I think they counted their chickens before they're hatched because they didn't actually do anything off of that. Instead, try to do something dry, which you would do to a team who had a lot of utility in response to you, not the other way around.
Well, JKS moves very quickly this time so as to avoid a push from Amanek. Amanek did try to get up towards ladder room, but you can see he stops a little bit short of it at that little half wall there. Ends up being taken down by Azur as he also goes in very aggressively. Same as last round here. They make it work. There is going to be an aggressive push from Misfits here. As Sick goes all the way through to the Whitehalls now. He doesn't divert down to ladder immediately, and we have the same push coming out from Shazam too. So he's going to be working with him, trying to see if they can go around the back lanes. Now, does Nifty expect to see this? No, but they kind of missed their chance to immediately impact on it, but they can still obviously find some success moving in on the complete flank. They got to move a little bit quickly here, though, as they are losing players relatively fast. And Shazam, oh, come on, he's right in the open there. There you go. Finally, some success for him, but it is just him and Sick now, but very quickly, Shazam combos into that second kill. He didn't see this player on the left side yet, so he still is going to be able to peek him, knock him out, and now Sick stands in a 1v2. It's probably the best player they could have given a chance to clutch this. However, So let's see if he can do it. As he goes out into the open, no, he still denies it. And with a 3K from him, that will be the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Renegades that take control here on Train, and they will claim our first map of the evening.
Small glimmer of hope there when you see Shazam like automatically hitting shots the first round. He gets an off, but because they got on their CT side so late, they just didn't have the opportunity to use them, I think, to his full advantages. So that's really sad. I would have liked to see more of a CT side from Misfits, because I know they do have a good one.
Yeah, and then starting it off, dropping like the first gun round and everything like that too, just never really presenting it with an opportunity. So most of the team falling short there. It does look like we have our analyst desk waiting, however, to break down this first map. So Stunna, take it away.
Yes, we will take it from here. You know what? I'll tell you what. You guys take it from here.
Okay, we'll take it from here.
So what did we see that led to them not having a good CT side? So they just didn't even get a chance, right? So
Yeah.
Misfits were doing these super telegraphed inner hits, right, which would lead to 2 mollies on the lower ramp before they could even go in, and then there would be 15 seconds left on the clock. So it's like kind of this weird style of play from Misfits, almost like they forgot how to play Train, because we've seen them play it really well in the past, and we'll outline some of the ways they played it today.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that, you know, having Sean Gares with a structured T side, one of the downfalls is you can be a little predictable in your nades and utility, as we'll see in some of these replays. And I think Renegades played a very solid CT side and really caught back the momentum after losing pistol.
Well, we talked about replays, or I guess you just did. Let's load up our first one now. I do believe it's round number 5. A sort of failure here from the Renegade side.
So actually on the Misfits, so here's one of the weaknesses of, as we saw a lot on the T side, they tried to hit inner a good like 4 or 5 times, and if you notice, when they kept hitting inner, they're always tossing a bunch of utilities saying, hey, we're doing an inner execute, and you see these Molotovs nicely played by Renegades.
There's a second one.
There's one right there, and then the second one slows it off. It kind of mistimes everything. The people in upper are ahead of the people lower, and they're getting picked off one by one. Sick here is trying to make a play. It just kind of messes up where if you want to take inside, it's always a decent idea to maybe bait nades.
There has to be a surprise. There has to be something else other than waiting and then execing. Like that usually doesn't work unless it's against like a full eco. And then sometimes you can even lose that too.
Maybe they thought that could be an idea because they're up already 3-1, but it didn't pay off.
Yeah, like that approach right there where you literally have not thrown a single nade down the lower ramp or through the upper doorway until 30 seconds into the round is just not going to work. Like that wouldn't even work in main. Like, let's be honest.
So just from those set pieces that we saw Sean Gares trying to, well, I dare I say it, all of Misfits trying to get under the same roof, what would you guys do differently?
I'd say have a little more explosive peeking, which means instead of throwing nades and executing and peeking, we have maybe actually some of the rounds that they had the most success in is when they just hopped down the ramp and shot with deagles, and they got 2 kills off the bat, kind of catching Renegades a little off guard because they're used to seeing nades flying over the wall. I'm ready, you know. But
yeah, I mean, most of the time when you have a CT defense, it's not going to be 100% watching both openings to the inner site at the same time for the entire round, right? Like, let's be honest, it's kind of like B on Cobble, where CTs a lot of the time have 4 people over at B, right? On Train, a lot of the time you'll have 4 people kind of tending towards outside. So if you can not telegraph your plays, sometimes one of those entrances won't be being directly held by somebody with a gun, right? And that's part of the jumping down with deagles, right? At that point in time, somebody probably wasn't watching upper, so JKS kind of probably had to, like, you know, vacillate his sights between lower ramp and upper.
It's sort of traverse over. Let's look at round number 9 now, where we do see the Misfits come out with a little bit of an execute here. Walk us through this one, James.
So I think round number 9 is like kind of showing the opposite, right? Like, we're not going to talk about inner here. We're just, look, they have deagles. 2 of them have armor and they have a smoke, right? But they end up getting a ton of kills this round, and that's because, you know, they're choosing their timings. They get in there, and the CTs aren't vigilant due to some, like, exec and, you know, 8 nades flying somewhere that is going to show, hey, in the next 5 seconds, we desire to come into this area because we threw a bunch of nades. So this is more just kind of showing, like, the concept of playing explosive CS, not telegraphing what you're going to do with your nades. And it just tends to work a little better at a high level. Like, execute-based CS is not necessarily, like, the end-all, be-all in terms of how to play T-sides.
I mean, we know as...
Sometimes it is okay,
It's
right?
okay, but at this high level, everyone can hit their shots. They're, you know, everyone is pretty awesome at aiming, I'd say, for the most part. And as we're saying, that surprise kind of factor to where you know, that split second makes a world of a difference at a high elite level.
Yep, exactly.
Well, it doesn't help either on the Misfits side of the equation when you have Nifty and NAF picking up their elected roles and putting just pain down. I mean, these guys are consistently enough to just bring their game to these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I try to sway away from like individual-based play, but they did play solid, right? Like at the end of the day, Nifty missed very few shots. He's extremely quick, right? So you have to be quick when you're killing him. And then Naf, you know, I talked about him all night last night, you know, basically obsessed with how well he played. So he's one of those model players where, like, you don't have to worry about him or micromanage him on a default or on CT side. He's just going to handle himself.
I usually talk about models all night myself, but, you know, that's just for another time. We got our last replay here. It's going to be round number 18. We see really good Molotov usage here from the Renegades.
And the totem pole drop.
Which is very nice. I like to see that. And as we talked in you know, at the pre-show, one thing to kind of shut down Shazam, throw a bunch of smokes, make him uncomfortable. As you saw, he was behind the bomb train, just dodging the Molotovs and had to peek around smokes. It put him in a really bad spot, and he only ended up getting 1 kill in the round. And I mean, you know, that's huge. Making an opera, you know, he just spent so much money, so much armor and utility, and it's just one shot. That's it. Yeah,
and then so remember how we were talking about like the word telegraphing that you're coming somewhere, so that just like we're indicating that we're going to go outside because we're throwing nades. So something cool right there that Renegades did, which is in contrast to how Misfits telegraphed their play inner, is that they didn't drop down ladder before the exec, right? So like if there was a guy playing E-box and he hears them drop down ladder, he might be more ready or might even have it in their mind that an outside hit could come soon, right? But what happened is that they smoked back green, in the smokes that were in the air landing near the bomb train and back green train were then followed by flashes, right? So the smokes are still in the air and they're not even down ladder room yet, right? So they do that totem pole drop as soon as like the smokes pop, and then the flashes are going to come over right before they peak the ladder room. So it's like really good timing.
Very subtle.
And your timing has to be explosive, right? Like you have to design those nades around being explosive, right? That should be like the #1 point.
A lot of dry runs and practice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. An extreme example of a team being well drilled and putting in those hours, putting in those dry runs.
Feels good to be well drilled as a team.
Got to edge past that, you know?
Yeah, I guess you guys are onto something. But yeah, I mean, that's just not something you hear a lot of anymore is dry runs and drilling. And, you know, we talk about edging every now and then. But we're going into cash. That is going to be our next matchup. Can we expect a puggy approach here from either side of the equation or no?
Well, I think Misfits might kind of snap out of it. Sean Gare's like, what was that, guys? We're a lot better than this. And so I think I would see more explosive play from Misfits, in my opinion.
All right, well, in your opinion, I guess we'll find out what that is exactly. We're going to go to a quick break. We come back. We're going to cash, so make sure you're with us when we come back.